Hey, this is William for attackofthefanboy.com. Kyle, I got a chance to play almost all of Destiny. What do you want to know?
I mean, okay, so you know me, and wasn't a huge fan of Destiny 1, mostly because of the story. What is the story? What can you tell me about the story if it's better? What is the story in Destiny 2?
Nothing. It's under
Okay.
embargo.
So, um
Anything else you want to know?
so the tower's gone, so they have a new hub, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it and what's it like?
It's under embargo. I
Okay.
can't tell you.
This is going to be a long 30 minutes. So, how about your gear? Everyone loves gear in Destiny.
It's under embargo. I cannot talk to you about gear either. What I can talk to you about today, Kyle, is the European Dead
All
Zone
right.
and the new open area that is in Destiny 2. You've played some Destiny
I
2
did.
yourself.
Yeah, I went to the preview or the reveal event.
Yeah, and I forget what that was. That was just the strike,
No,
right?
we went through each mode. So we played a strike, we played the opening campaign mission, which was exactly what you saw in that very first trailer. And then we played some multiplayer.
I suppose that I can talk with you
Yeah.
about that because that's pretty much public knowledge. Everybody has
There should be
has
some
done that.
videos on
Yeah,
our YouTube channel. I think we did videos after that.
yeah. There's more. There's more of that in Destiny. That happens in Destiny
That's
2.
that sort of stuff.
That's actually It's not just in the demo. That's actually part of the
Okay.
real game.
Yeah.
But so a lot of this stuff comes back to the story stuff. I can't talk about, even though I've played a good chunk of the story. These new zones, like the one that we're looking at now, the European Dead Zone, has NPCs in it, like this guy Devrim Kay, who is part of the faction, which is related to the story somehow, but I can't tell you how. But each of these different zones within the world, instead of feeling like the tower used to connect everything, they kind of feel like they stand on their own a little
Okay.
bit more. So if that makes any
It does.
sense,
Yeah.
you've still, they've kind of make it so, even though you can travel back to the hub or whatever, you have a lot more activities to do just staying on a single planet. You've got a ton of enemy encounters like this, where this is just a random encounter with a high level target, which will drop a treasure chest for you, and then you're going to get these coins, these tokens, and they're specific to the region, which you take back to Devrim Kay, and he'll you level him up. You remember how old Destiny was? Like you're leveling people up
Yeah,
at
I
the tower.
tried not to
Do that at all? You tried not to do that
it
at all.
just it got so there's more currencies is what you're telling me. But is it streamlined? Is
It's
it that
not
you have more options and you have more stuff to collect, but they kind of funnel it
far
far more?
more
Okay.
streamlined, and it all ties into the story that I can't talk about. It all it all comes together in like, okay, so here's the word that I used a lot at the Destiny event. Coherent.
Okay.
Things seem
Like
coherent
there's a logical
this time around.
sense.
It's not like this random guy sitting in the hangar and you're supposed to bring him back dead sec fucking, I don't know if that's even a faction, but dead cell
Yeah.
tokens or whatever while you're out in the field. You're collecting stuff for this guy. It feels more directed
Okay.
in a way where they're using those same sort of systems, but they're a little bit more easy to follow. The rewards make more
Okay.
sense. But out here, I'm on what is called an adventure, and they're going to be kind of littered across these maps. And the maps themselves are I don't know if you remember the old game. It felt more like they were just like circles. Like you would go
Yeah.
all the way around and you'd come back from square one, from start point to end point. These feel a little bit different, a little bit more nuanced in the way that they're set up. So you've got different zones and you can fast travel between them. And you've got these public events that are going on that you can actually see on the map. So you can kind of fast travel to these places, jump in and out of these things, these events really quickly, and, earn loot and rewards that way. So, yeah, I don't know how much you did that stuff in Destiny because you were one of the people that
got salty.
Was like a topic of conversation at the
Oh,
Destiny
yeah?
event. Okay, so now I need to preface this because I forgot up front. Activision flew us out there, put us up in hotel, fed us, tried to get us liquored up to like Destiny.
Well, I mean, with a game like this, these sorts of events do actually make sense because they can't have the servers live. So they're getting you guys all in the same room, I would assume, so you can play together on the setup.
So we can, this is what it was. It was all sort of on the PlayStation Developer Network. It was, it does make sense, but it's just worth noting to tell people. But I don't really need that anyway. If you've been following the site or our podcast or any of the stuff about Destiny, I've been a fan of this just because I've always liked the shooting and the looting and the grindy sort of busy work that Destiny afforded you. So, but that stuff out of the way, here we're looking at the map for the European Dead Zone. And as you can see, those arrows on the map right now are places where you can drop in and fast travel, which wasn't an option before. And you can fast travel to these orange adventure markers. There will be the blue diamond markers for public events that are currently going on.
Okay.
And it shows you what you're going to get from actually doing those rewards. If you pull the trigger down, you have these global milestone marker events that you're also trying to accomplish.
And I mean, are these are these largely story missions? Are they sort of tailored experiences, or?
Well, Kyle, I
know you
cannot
can't tell me the
you
story,
if they're
but
related to the story or not. But what I'm going to say is that it feels coherent. Okay? Like all of this stuff feels with reason. The dialogue that you hear during those adventure missions, the music, the environments, they all make sense if you want to pack it in, and you're going to be doing this stuff alongside the story missions, right? So it just feels like it belongs better than it did in the original, if that makes any sense. I've got to be somewhat vague there. But it feels of the quality that you would expect from a story mission. So all these little adventures and these little missions, you still have the patrols things. These aren't necessarily that. You are doing these things. These are completely missions that are dedicated towards this NPC in this area, who is part of the bigger story. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting what you're saying. So, yeah.
Okay.
But you're still these are built for replayability. Do you get the sense of that?
Most certainly. Yes, I think they're built for replayability and like discoverability. If I didn't point out on the map, there are these new sections in the in each planet, and they're called lost sectors. So you're going to, and I believe I'm coming up on one right now, where you're gonna face these heroic high level enemies. If you go into these lost sectors are marked on the map by very small like archways.
Okay.
It's a they're all over the place, and they give you different rewards. Sometimes the rewards are really good, sometimes they're really not that great. As you'll see, this is one of like the higher level enemies that I'll face here, and then a cache will open up, which you'll get loot out of after you beat this guy, and you beat him pretty easily with the
your shield super
special ability. My Captain America shield. I think that thing is pretty fucking awesome. The more I play with it, I didn't really enjoy it in the beta, but I kind of started liking it after playing this for about 18 hours. So yeah, the Lost Sector aspect of it, I think gives it a little bit of replayability. I think they're going to have the ability to put new enemies in these things, add different public events to, and that's not something that Bungie has said, but I'm just assuming that that's probably what they're going to do to keep it fresh and to keep people invested. Obviously, we're playing in a fairly closed off environment, so we're always running into people for these public events. But there are things that are tied to the public events as well that keep you playing them. There are many, like, I don't know how much, you haven't played Destiny in a while,
a long
so
time.
You don't understand how they've really have kind of like started guidebooking the whole thing and giving people more clear paths to achieving certain like overarching goals. So Destiny 2 feels like they're going to continue on that trend, obviously. So there are good reasons to come back and do these things, because you're going to, for each sector, you're going to want to complete a certain amount of these challenges. And then in these specific challenges, public events also have like heroic modifiers on them as well. So if you do certain things during the public event, then you'll be faced with a more difficult task. It'll kind of evolve into something else, and you kind of have to like experiment with different things to get those to trigger. We figured out all of them, but it's not under embargo, but I'm not going to spoil that for people once they get their hands on the game a little later on. Like my takeaway from at least just these zones and running through them and doing the missions and stuff is that I don't think it's going to be like the shining star of Destiny. Of going back and doing all this stuff
in general.
Not this particular zone, but any of the zones. It's not going to be the thing that you do. Destiny's going to be the thing. The strikes, the weekly events, the raid and stuff. When that stuff finally comes out, is going to be the stuff that high level players want to do in Destiny, not run through these zones.
But they seem like a good starter. They get you on the path.
That's exactly what they are. Is a great point to start building out your character, to start tackling those harder challenges. So if you saw that little thing on the side there, that we're close to a lost sector, but we're in the middle of a public event. So I'm rocket launching this thing because that's one of the things to do to trigger this elite or heroic event.
So the public events in the first one, I always, I thought that they were one of the coolest aspects in the beginning of the game, at least, just because it brought so many players together and they all had one big goal. Do they still kind of just pop up randomly? I don't know how much you can talk about, but you seem to be running into a good amount of them.
Well, this is not one solid video. You can run into as many public events as you want now. You're not running into them per se anymore. You're using the map. Yeah, you're using the map, and it says like this public event is starting in 2 minutes. Do you want to fast travel over there? Do you want to ride over there? You can get there. Or this one's already going on, and it's right next to you.
Okay.
And it doesn't tell you how many players there are there working on it, I don't think. But instead of like just where the zones are, I mean, that was one of the things with Destiny is like they had a map. Somebody built it out on the internet and said, okay, this is the timing of the events. This is where they are. You can hit them all if you do this exact path through the map. Now you don't have to do that. You can just kind of go on to the director and, you know, pick where you want to go and set your waypoint to go there.
Cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, I still think this is going to be a big part of people's experience in Destiny, just because that stuff to get the coins and to build your reputation with the NPCs. I think that's a big part of the early game, and that's a lot of what we played at the event was the early game stuff. Late game stuff is still pretty much under wraps over there. They weren't really telling people what to expect, but I mean, I got the feeling that they were pretty confident about their late game stuff, because a lot of people did enjoy that in the first game in the
expansion. And I mean, anyone who's picking up Destiny 2 has probably put a good amount of time in Destiny and its mini DLCs, so if this can feel like an extension of what they built with that, I think that they're on the right track.
Right, and that's why it's so here I just triggered the heroic event from blowing those things up, and then this event is now going to transition into something else. It's usually just a glimmer extraction. Now we blew up the extractors and all the glimmers on the ground, and we have to just defend it from these elite level enemies. So all of the public events have those modifiers on them, which is kind of a cool thing to have that variety. But when you're running into random players, you may or may not be able to get that stuff done. At the beginning of this video, I was trying to get it done by shooting one of the planes out of the sky, which was another trigger. It just doesn't happen sometimes. Like sometimes you really need some teamwork to get it done.
You seem to be using a vehicle more often than I remember. I know that there was the Sparrow.
Well, I just happened to pick this one up because it was around, and I knew it would have the firepower to trigger this heroic event. But yeah, I think that these areas will be a good starting point. I think that they're well written as far as like adding flavor to the overall Destiny experience. I don't even want to say the word story, but I think they just add more cohesion.
I mean, they seem obviously well designed. Bungie's always been great at creating environments.
Of course,
and creating these
It
levels.
feels amazing. It still feels great. The enemies, the combat, the weapons that you pick up and play, they all feel like amazing. They all feel amazing. The gunplay is amazing. The fights that you get in these battles are a lot of fun to actually play and shoot and take part in. But even after 18 hours and pushing through, I got my character all the way to level 20, which would be, the cap.
Oh, is that the cap at the beginning?
Yeah, I think it's the same as the first game. I mean, we can't talk about all the systems because I don't even know how they work. I know you've got some different things at play in terms of like building out your character, but even after I got to level 20 and was doing all this stuff and going through these different zones and different planets, it seemed like I had a lot to do.
Sounds good.
And this stuff was as I was trying to start building out my, my character.
Yeah, I remember, if you focused and you just did one thing after the other, you could get through most of, vanilla Destiny's content pretty quickly until they started rolling out DLC, more strikes and the raids and everything like that. So it'd be nice if Destiny 2 does launch with some more, just more content just at launch.
I get the feeling. I get the feeling of like Bungie knows that they could do a lot better with Destiny. I'm pretty sure they're, certain of it. And I think this is the game that's going to both please the people that, were fans of the original like myself, but also, I mean, we're going to have to wait for the review embargo to hit, but we'll have to see what other people think about that story and whether or not it is everything that they've kind of promised along the way.
I mean, they made some big promises before Destiny came out, I think because, we've heard a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and there was some turmoil, we'll say, before Destiny finally hit. So I think at this point, with all the time that they've put into this game, they now understand what Destiny is. They didn't quite get it when they were pitching the first one. They were pitching it as this like new Star Wars-esque universe that you're gonna read books about and everything like that. And I think now they kind of get that the gameplay is rock solid. I hope that I've never implied that the core gameplay of this was not amazing, because it really, really is.
I talked about you a lot at this event, Kyle. I said Kyle was our reviewer for Destiny. He didn't.
I still gave it an 8.
But he still gave it a good score. Just not a fan.
Yeah.
He was one of the
I recognized that
it.
And that's what they were. They did pitch that. It's not like they came out and they were like, "Hey, it's going to be a Diablo loot shooter." Before the game came out. Before the game came out, they were talking about it like it was a brand new Halo, which this is not. It is a loot shooter with some story dressing that makes everything make sense. Maybe Destiny 2 will go beyond that, and that would be fantastic.
Very well may. Yeah. I think like I had just in my overall experience, the ties back to like a Halo were pretty evident.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like you could see them flexing their chops here in like some of the environmental design, the music, even though Marty's gone.
It's unfortunate. But
it's unfortunate, but dude, it sounds like this game rocks in some spots. Really, the music is just the right pitch for whatever mission you're on. It's really good. To hear the rest of what we think about Destiny without dancing around all the bullshit, you're going to have to wait till September 5th at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. somewhere in Europe, 4 p.m. somewhere even further into Europe.
We'll go over all of them.
And then we'll get to talk about everything else that we got to see. For now, you'll find our written preview on attackofthefanboy.com or AOTF.com. For Kyle, I'm William. If you like this video, give it a like. Subscribe to our channel. We can use all the support we can get. And thanks for watching.